Giving all praise unto Abashi Masha Basim Kohakodash, the bottomless unto the apostles of great millstone, and the honest brothers to be pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. The Baba body are coming out here to give you these truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh Abashi Masha Bashim Kohakodash. Giving all praise unto Abashi Masha Bashim Kohakodash. So it should be a relatively quick video based upon 3 pieces of information. And pretty much this relates to particular behaviors that we find amongst the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans that are of a heathenistic origin and a heathenistic persuasion. And I'm going to dive straight into it. And we've gone through some of this information in the past before. We'll start with this idea of a diva, which we see a lot of these single black women. They're heavy into the idea of being a diva, a so-called bad B, okay, a boss B, and so forth and so on, which is contrary to what the scripture says, because the scripture says that there's a particular order that the Most High wants to establish within the universe, that being Yahweh Shai is the head of the house. Yahweh Shai is the head of the Christian household, which the Christian household, right, represents the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the children of Israel that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? The church is the Israelites, right? And that's a whole topic for another lesson, but we'll get into that another time, right? What you got right now is people think that the idea of the church and this, that, and the third is applicable onto everybody, which that's not biblical. That's not actual factual. That's not true. Okay, the truth is these scriptures, right, were given for an inheritance unto our people, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, right. This heritage is our heritage, not for the heathen, and the heathen have tried to indulge in our heritage. But that's again, like I said, that's a different lesson for a different day. So what do we see here? We see this word diva, right, or deva, which when you go into the origins of diva, it's a Latin word meaning goddess, right? And we see this particular word is very similar in terms of spelling as this one, which this relates to in Hinduism. It relates to the goddesses on within their own belief system. Okay, so let's just quickly read into it a little bit. Diva, in Vedic language, Indian, and later in Hinduism, one of the many gods, right, often roughly divided into sky, air, earth divinities on the basis of identification with forces of nature, right? Does not the scripture say that we're not supposed to worship the things that are within the skies? We're not supposed to be dismayed at them because the heathen are dismayed at them. Buddhism, like cosmology, posits that the existence of 3 realms and the devats, right, devatas, gods and goddesses, resides in the highest of the 6 goddesses, and so it's their heathenistic madness, right? So this idea of a diva is not biblical, right? If you're an Israelite, you ain't supposed to be indulging in that kind of stuff. But there's a vibration that's associated with it, which is dealing with female goddess worship. Because even if you went down the route of saying, okay, well, just because it's spelled similarly doesn't mean it's the same thing. All right, you go into the origins of the word. It comes from diva, Latin, meaning goddesses. We're gods, but you ain't some goddess. All right, if that makes sense, right? In a sense of idol worship, right? We're powers on the earth. The Most High did indeed bestow a special spirit upon the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, but God damn it, man, right? The idea of goddesses and these women being goddesses, that's not associated with the scriptures. That's not what the scripture says when it says you're gods, right? That's not what it's being associated with, right? When you're dealing with these goddesses and all of this, that, and the third, you're dealing with the female worship that they have amongst these heathens, right? Which we know is of our left hand, right? Demonic vibration going all the way back to Semiramis, right? Ishtar, all of this stuff that we see the Babylonians indulged in, okay? The Mother Earth and all this, that, and the third. So that diva thing, man, that's not a part of our custom. So let's get into another point that's this time is definitively associated with Elam. So you got Jake out here that call themselves all kind of thugs and this, that, and the third. Well, this idea of the thug comes from the thuggee, right? Which these were criminals, right? Thug, right? Thuggee. That's the description at the top here. Thug, a member of a well-organized confederacy of assassins who traveled in gangs throughout India for several hundreds of years, right? So that's where the origins come from. The earliest mention of the thugs is in I can't pronounce that. And that's dated all the way back in 1356. Now, what you have to understand is they killed in the name of their god Kali. Right? I'm going to go into that in this particular lesson, but they used to do it. They did it in the name of their god, right? Which when you go into Kali, right, that was like a that's like a death demon, man, like a death deity that they had. Okay, like you see that particular god, it's got a knife in its hand, and it's got the heads of men chopped up. So that's what they used to do. They used to do it in that name, if I remember the information correctly. And you got Jake out here unto this day. They're calling themselves. Oh, it says it here. It says it here, right? Hindus appear to have been associated with them at an early period. At any rate, their religious creed, practices, and worshippers of Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction, right, showed no influence, no influence of Islam, right? So that's basically saying what I've said, right? In brief, I'm not going to read all of that, but I'm pretty sure, just based off of that excerpt, what I'm saying is correct based on what I read much earlier on, in the past. Okay, so that's what they used to do. They used to kill these thugs. Used to kill in the name of their god Kali. You got Jake out here calling themselves, right, thugs and all this, that, and the third. Which that has connotations on the left hand side. Okay, so the dreadlocks thing. The elder went into it. This is not a part of our practice, right? This shouldn't be a practice that Jake is involved in. Right, the practice of wearing jata or dreadlocks is observed in modern day Hinduism, most notably by the sadhus who worship Shiva. So again, you see the ideas here of these goddesses and these gods, and these left hand side entities, right? For lack of a better way of putting it, you see these left hand side individuals being represented amongst the Negroes, Hispanic, Native Americans, and being observed via the acts that Jake be participating in. So you got Jakes out here, they got the dreadlocks, they call themselves thugs. Okay, their woman's a diva. That's demonic, man. We ain't supposed to be participating in those particular things. So hopefully that's off edification. With that, I'm going to say a praise unto Abashim Ashai Bashim Kwa Kodash, the bonus unto the apostles of great millstone. On us, your prophets to be pushing these truth and sincerity. Shalom.